Happy Halloween week, folks, and welcome to WrestleRant Ranks, where every single Monday I, Graham G.S. Matthews, do tier lists, rankings, and quizzes. And in light of Halloween coming up this Friday, we are going to be ranking WWE's spookiest characters in the history of the company. Thanks to tiermaker.com for putting this together, specifically Wrestling Junkie. You can find the link to this specific tier list down below in the description box. Also, there you can find where you can support the channel, how you can support the channel by becoming a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member for $5 a month, getting videos like this early and ad-free. You also get shout-outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do here on the channel, top billing on hashtag AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio. You unlock access to emojis and badges and the live chats, and so much more. At the very least, if you want to just like this video and subscribe, all support would be greatly appreciated. And you can also find in the description box, last but not least, every other installment of WrestleRant Ranks that we have done so far this year here on the channel. So let's get into it. This is pretty cut and dry. We have S, A, B, C, and D is the categories that we have here. Spookiest characters in WWE. But I don't think this is just WWE. According to the description, if you look at the pictures, this also includes WCW, ECW, AEW, New Japan, WWF, and Ring of Honor. So a whole slew of characters from over the course of wrestling history. We have Kane kicking us off here. That's got to be, spookiest mask characters. That's also what this really includes. It's not just spooky characters, but also some of the greatest mask characters in WWE history. I gotta put Kane at S tier. That Kane mask initially was fucking awesome when he showed up. Also one of the greatest debuts in WWE history, if not the greatest debut. It was, 20, how many years ago was it this month? It was this month, back in 1997 it would have been, and we're in 2025. So 28 years ago this month was when Kane debuted, had one of the greatest debuts in company history. He's gotta be in the S tier. Then you get to Goldust. Now, not a masked character, he had face paint, but still spooky and creepy at certain points, specifically when he initially arrived in WWE. I'm not sure if he ever really reached that peak again in his WWE career when he came back years later, and he was really best utilized during that period when he initially debuted in the mid-90s. After that, he was kind of like more of a comedy character and doing more other odd stuff, and he was more of a fan favorite years later when they brought him back in the 2000s. Goldust is still a great character, though. I'll put him in the B category for now. I think Goldust is great, but as far as spooky and creepy, he's not really spooky, and he's not masked either. He's kind of more of a creepy character, but I'll put him in the B tier. Papa Shango is a great, memorable character, very short-lived. Obviously, the Godfather's alter ego. Very spooky, great face paint. And I can't really point to many memorable matches that Papa Shango had in WWE, but that's not really what this is about. It's still a great spooky character. We're going to put him in A tier. The fucking Godfather, speaking of him, we'll just get to this right now, is also listed here on this list. I have no idea why. I'm not really sure why the Godfather is on here. He's not masked. He's not spooky. He was a great character. Unless that's a different persona of the Godfathers that I'm not aware of, I'm not really sure why that character is on here, so we're going to put him in D. Paul Bearer, also another all-time character in wrestling history as a manager, the manager of Undertaker and Kane and Mankind, among others. He was fantastic, so we'll put him in the S tier. It's hard to put him above Kane because Paul Bearer is such a great manager. But Kane had more longevity in WWE, I would say, and Paul Bearer was spooky. He was certainly spooky in how he kind of presented himself as the manager for all these monsters throughout the 90s specifically. I got to go Kane over him, though, because Kane is probably the greatest masked wrestler in WWE history. Rey Mysterio is probably number one. And this isn't just masked people. Like, if it was just masks, they would include a lot more luchadors here on this list. I don't see Rey Mysterio listed. That's what tells me this is not just masked wrestlers. It's masked spooky wrestlers, or spooky masked wrestlers, rather. We have Abyss, who is fucking awesome, and he now finds himself in WWE as a producer, a.k.a. Chris Park. Joe Park during his TNA tenure. I loved Abyss in TNA. Obviously, towards the end there, he was kind of at his physical, end in TNA. That was even 7 years ago. I've been still selfishly waiting to hear that TNA music in WWE. It's never going to fucking happen. But when he was in TNA, I was a big fan of his work. I thought he did great stuff. I'm going to put, honestly, probably him in the A category as well. I'll put him below Papa Shango because I think Papa Shango was spookier. Abyss wasn't really spooky. He was a good masked wrestler. he was basically discount Kane in TNA. And that's not exactly fair to say because there were a lot of differences between the two. They might be like Kane is probably a better worker than Abyss, but Abyss had a lot of great matches on the whole over in TNA. But Kane had more longevity, more memorable just because of where that character was. We'll put Abyss in the A tier right below Papa Shango, who is spookier for the sake of this list. The Fiend also had a lot of bad moments he was involved in, but still, Bray Wyatt's alter ego not only revitalized his career, but has had such a lasting impact that we're still seeing remnants of that character years following his passing in the Wyatt Six. Now, the Wyatt Six are not the Wyatt family or even the Fiend or Bray Wyatt or whatever, but it's a nice tribute to the character that was Bray Wyatt, Wyndham himself, and obviously the Fiend as well. So the Fiend is great. I'm going to put him in the A category. I just think for the aesthetic alone, the appearance and look alone of Bray Wyatt as the Fiend, I think that deserves A tier, quite honestly. I think that character was just fucking awesome, and I don't think we'll ever forget, anyone who watched it, his first ever entrance as the Fiend at SummerSlam 2019. And the match with Finn Balor was far from a masterpiece, but it was exactly what it needed to be in just quick decimation of Finn Balor on that show. And the aura, I mean, that word is so fucking overused. We even did a whole ranking based on aura of entrances in NXT history, a very niche list, earlier this year on the show. But seriously, he had such aura whenever he came out with that character. There's really, to me, nowhere but to put that character, but in the S category. I think it belongs there. Luchasaurus is a good worker. I like Luchasaurus as part of Jurassic Express. I like him on his own. He's not spooky. You might even put him more in like the masked luchador category because like I remember his stuff from like a Lucha Underground was creepier with him as Luchasaurus than anything he has ever done in AEW, babyface or heel. So I'll put him in the C category. I mean, he looks cool. I mean, so he has that going for him. But everything else about Luchasaurus isn't really spooky or like I don't really put him in the category of greatest masked wrestlers, even in recent history. So we'll put him in the C category. I see Honky Tonk Man there. This is just bothering me seeing him there. I have no fucking clue why the Honky Tonk Man is on this list. I mean, unless he did something spooky that I'm just not aware of, I have no fucking clue why he's here. So we're putting him at the bottom of the D category. The Brood was awesome. The Brood was great. Their entrance music is arguably among the greatest of all time for a group that really did not last all that long. I will put them below the Fiend. I mean, I think the Fiend has had more longevity. The Brood entrance was great, and it also catapulted the careers of Edge and Christian specifically. So I think for that alone, the fact they would come out and spit fucking blood during their entrance, you got to put that in the S category. I'm probably being too generous, but I'll put them in the S category. The Undertaker is number one. These spookiest, like anytime you think of these spookiest wrestlers in WWE history, Taker's number one. He has to be. So I'll put Taker at 1. Sting's a tough one because he is also S category. We're going to have a lot of S categories. I apologize. But I don't know. With Sting, it's tough because, I mean, I'm not putting him above Taker. Taker, to me, is the epitome of spooky wrestlers in wrestling and also the character that is regarded as the greatest character in wrestling history as well. Sting, better worker, also had longevity, and specifically when he became Crow Sting in WCW. So I would not put him above Taker. But Kane, I don't know, man. You know what? I'm going to put him above Kane because at least with Sting, he wasn't always creepy. Like when he got to TNA, he kind of lost some of that aura, but he also got it back when he was doing Joker Sting, which was great too. And then he was kind of still brooding in AEW and WWE as well. I'm going to put him over Kane because Mask Kane was awesome. And we've had Mask Kane in recent years. It's not the same mask that he had when he debuted years ago, which was a far superior mask. Kane would later unmask in like 2003. And he was a great spooky character. I mean, go see No Evil. Terrible movie, but a lot of fun. And he comes off as such a fucking unhinged psychopath in that movie. Does Kane as Jacob Goodnight. But Sting, I'm tempted to put him at 2. Honestly, I'm tempted to put him at 2. So I'm going to, this might be a hot take, but I'll put Sting above Kane, but below Taker in the S category. Finn Balor is the Demon. Again, automatic aura. I hate to keep using that word, but it's true. Anytime he came out as the Demon, he looked awesome. But a lot of that aura was really just exclusive to NXT. When he got to the main roster with that character, he looked awesome and people popped for it, but he didn't use it all that often, and whenever he did, he was undefeated there for a while, but it didn't feel nearly as special. And then the last two times he's used it, in late 2021 and then back at WrestleMania in 2023, he fucking lost and came across as such a loser. So I'll put him above Goldust. I got to put him in the B category. He wasn't really creepy. He just looked cool. So I like the Demon, but I got to put him below everyone else that I listed in the B or in the A and S category. The Boogeyman could not wrestle for shit. And the Boogeyman will never go down as one of the greatest characters in wrestling history because you're so limited with what you could do with a guy like that. Taker became like a fucking multi-time world champion. Taker is also a better worker than the Boogeyman, don't get me wrong. Sting, Kane, all those people. But the Boogeyman still looked fucking sick. I mean, I don't care what you say. I grew up in the era of WWE in the 2000s when the Boogeyman was around. I thought his vignettes were cool. I thought he looked fucking awesome. He got released soon after, but I always thought he was cool, and I always loved seeing him brought back to WWE television whenever he makes occasional returns. So again, another hot take. I'm going to put him in the A category. I'll put him below Abyss and Papa Shango, who are far better than the fucking Boogeyman was. But as far as spooky characters, if you saw this guy coming at you with a giant-ass clock in his hand and this stick, this walking stick, I don't know, eating fucking worms right in front of you and attempting to force you to eat worms as well, you can't tell me in a real-life scenario that you would not be scared. If you know it's a wrestling character, maybe not so much. But if this is a real dude in real life and he's constantly in character, anytime I've ever seen him at any indie show doing signings and pictures and shit, he's always in character. So I'll put him in the A category. Bottom of A category, but the A category. Alexa Bliss, you know, she's great as the Sister Abigail type character to Bray Wyatt. I thought she played that role really well. And she was kind of creepy. You know what? I mean, some of the stuff they did with her during that time was not great. Like the Lily doll was fucking stupid, and some of the feuds and matches she had were not great, but still, I think it was a very memorable character that also kind of revitalized her career as well. Because before she started doing the spooky stuff with Bray Wyatt in 2020, she was spinning her wheels. I mean, in 2018, 2019, she was barely active. It felt like she was injured a lot. And whenever she was active, she wasn't interesting at all. She was teaming with Nikki Cross. She was a babyface. No one really cared. And then she linked up with Bray Wyatt, and it really kind of made her interesting again for the next few years up until today. And she still has traces of this character even in her character today. So I'll put her in the A category below the Boogeyman, but I think she's high up there, honestly. This next one is House of Black from AEW. You have Brody King, Buddy Murphy, Malachi Black. A great group with three great wrestlers that never really fully reached their potential in AEW. I don't think they ever held the AEW World Tag titles. I know all three of them held the Trios titles a few years ago, and that was cool. But as a group, they never really got to where they needed to or where they should have, and that was disappointing. They weren't really creepy either. I mean, again, they were a great group, but they weren't really creepy. So I'll put them at the top of C. I think the Demon and Goldust kind of had more aura to them and were also better booked at certain points. House of Black was never really consistently booked as a threat in AEW in the few years they were together. But a very good group and probably more spooky or scary or dark or whatever than fucking Luchasaurus. Mick Foley as Mankind, also another S category, another great character, iteration from him alongside Mick Foley himself and Dude Love and Cactus Jack and whatever. He was fantastic with this character. I'll put him right below Kane. I feel like people really grew to love Mankind, though, so he wasn't always creepy. Do we put him above the Fiend? I feel like the Fiend is just so fucking creepy with that look. You kind of have to put him above. I can't put him above the Fiend. I mean, that might be a hot take, but I'm going to put him below the Fiend. We have a lot of S category characters here, but it's true. I might put the Brood in A, but I'll put Mick Foley in S. Very creepy character, but he also became lovable after a while and kind of like a jokey character, which is not what you could say about the Fiend and some of these other guys. So I'll put Mick Foley in the S tier, but towards the bottom. I might move Brood to A because we have a lot of the S tier people. Danhausen, I've always been a big Danhausen fan. He is not spooky. He is not creepy. He is a comedy character, always has been. I would probably put him bottom of B. I mean, he does a lot of weird shit, and he's the epitome of what a character should be, to be honest with you. Goldust was always creepier and looked cooler. Danhausen doesn't really look cool. He kind of looks like a goofy ghoul from like fucking Halloween Town or something. but his character's always popped me. I think he does a good job with it, so we'll put him in the B tier. Darby Allin, I think, is great. He's not really spooky. He just has face paint, so it's not really anything dark about him, to be honest with you. I'll put him in the C tier. And I feel bad. This is not an anti-AEW list. You see a lot of AEW people there in the C category. But it's just they don't really do a lot of great spooky or dark characters very well. So I'll put him in the middle of C. Uncle Howdy, I mean, that's the initial version of Uncle Howdy. This list was made in 2023. So we only got that version of Uncle Howdy for a little while. We now have him back with the Wyatt 6. Again, he's another one. It doesn't really feel like they have fully fleshed out what that Uncle Howdy character could and should be, and how scary he could be, and how creepy he could be. I think Bray Wyatt plays the role well. I'll probably put him below all of these guys in B, though. You could even put him in C. But at least he's been around a little bit longer. He kind of comes across like a Halloween-esque character. I can't really say the same for anyone in C, or definitely D. So we'll put him in B, but at the bottom of it. I think these other characters are a bit more fleshed out and kind of know who they are, found their footing more so than Uncle Howdy has so far. I believe that's the Ministry, the Undertaker's Ministry there. You got Bradshaw, the Brood, Taker, Farouk. Great group. I'm not really a fan of that period in wrestling. I'll put them in the A category because they were creepy. I'll put them above Abyss. I mean, one of the creepier groups in WWE history, and Taker having his own stable was cool. I think that's fucking Midian there. I thought that was Taker. It's Midian, actually. Short-lived, but, a cool-looking group. Didn't have a lot of great matches or involved in a lot of great storylines, but, it was involved in some of the peak moments popularity-wise for WWE. So I'll put them in the A category, right below Papa Shango. Then you got the Hurricane. Again, I know he is categorized as a masked wrestler, but he's not creepy. He was always a goofy character, a goofy superhero. I'm going to have to put him in D. I mean, he looks cool. I mean, kind of. The Hurricane was a memorable character, but he was never really spooky, or he has a mask, but that's really the only category he falls under here, so I'll put him in D. Doink was great when he was creepy, but that was only when he was a heel. Again, short-lived, but I'll put him in the A category. I feel like you're probably thinking, he should be higher, but I don't know. Heel Doink was good, but it was very, very, very short-lived. And he is, Alexa Bliss, does good work too, but Doink deserves credit. I'll put him above Alexa, but below Boogeyman, who looks far cooler and was far spookier, I think, overall than some dude that looked like a clown. I know, like, clowns can be creepy, I get it, but I'm still probably biased towards Boogeyman. The Wyatt family, very creepy, great fucking group. I don't feel comfortable putting them in S just because they were great, but on the main roster, they were never really what they could have been and never really reached that next level, so I'll put them at A. But, like, that cult character family was really, really cool, so I'll put them in A. And then lastly, the fucking Viking Raiders with Valhalla. I have no idea why they're on this list. They're not creepy at all. I'll put them below the Hurricane. I'm not really sure why they're there, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think that's our list. I think I'm pretty comfortable with what we ended up with here. We'll start from the bottom, work our way to the top. In the D category of wrestling's spookiest characters, again, the Honky Tonk Man. Why the fuck is he in here? The Honky Tonk Man, the Godfather, the War Raiders, the Viking Raiders, whatever, with Valhalla, and then the Hurricane. In the C category, you got Luchasaurus, Darby Allin, and the House of Black in AEW. B category, you have Uncle Howdy, Danhausen, Goldust, and Finn Balor. In the A category, Alexa Bliss, Doink, the Boogeyman, Abyss. I think that's just the Ministry, not the corporate ministry. It might be the corporate ministry. We'll go the ministry, though. Papa Shango, and then the Wyatt family. And then in the S category, we have Brood, the Brood, obviously. Mankind, The Fiend, Paul Bearer, Kane, Sting, and The Undertaker. Those are my creepiest characters, spookiest characters, masked wrestlers, whatever the fuck you want to call them, in wrestling history according to what this person put together here. You could probably put other people that were not included, like Waylon Mercy you could probably put in here, but they did not include him in this list. But fill it out for yourself over at tiermaker.com. You can also include people as well. You can also edit these lists. I think it only might show for you, or maybe not. If you didn't create it, then maybe not. But actually, maybe you can. I don't remember. I think you can. But you can add pictures and put your list together. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Be sure to share this video as well. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff greatly appreciated. And like I always say, be sure to consider signing up to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member down below. Getting videos like this early and ad-free means a lot. The support is greatly appreciated. All right, folks, have a very happy Halloween this coming Friday. I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the spooky road.